And I believe, and we might write this up, that Trump is actually re-embarking on the Monroe Doctrine. I think he's taken a look at the world. He wants to finish the war in Ukraine. He has sort of mixed ambitions in the Middle East, brags about how he never started a war during his term, but is talking about bombing Iran and is very hostile to Iran in some of his statements. So who knows? Park the Middle East to one side. And he wants to compete on a more fair footing with China. And if you just look at the Western Hemisphere, a point we've made in several articles, there's way more than enough resources here for the U.S. to be a global superpower, still the global superpower, if we would focus on getting our act together here. And if you look at Canada, second largest or third largest hydrocarbon deposits in the world, depending on how you measure such things. Mexico has huge and poorly managed hydrocarbon deposits. Venezuela, I mean, the largest hydrocarbon base in the world. Greenland is filled with all the rare, not all, but many of the rare earth metals and other natural resources that China currently has a stranglehold on. The Panama Canal is a key choke point. The U.S., of course, built it and paid lots of money and blood to get that done. Look at Argentina coming back into the U.S. fold. I mean, I think it's very clear that Malay is fully aligned with both the U.S. in general and Trump in particular. Brazil is an interesting case, but if you just look at the Western Hemisphere, I mean, gas, oil. The U.S. has the largest coal reserves in the world, by the way. We don't mine as much of it as we used to, but we're still a net exporter. Fertilizer, farmland, labor. The Western Hemisphere has an enormous, like an unthinkably large resource base. And so I do think that he envisions Canada and the U.S. at least coming together in some form of a union, perhaps not a sovereign one, but one where frictions between the countries and border issues are resolved, trade is made easier for both countries' benefit. I note with interest and perhaps uncoincidentally that as we're talking, Trump's election results are being certified by Congress, and Justin Trudeau announced that he would be resigning as Prime Minister of Canada, both on the same day. I think it's that kind of symbolism that historians will remember. So I do think if we're right, and that Trump's main foreign policy agenda will be developing sort of a Monroe Doctrine approach to the Western Hemisphere, detaching himself from European wars and focusing economically on China, then that is probably a pretty reasonable agenda for his second term.